When my mother passed away, it felt like the world had stopped turning. I had just turned 26 and was engaged to my fiancé, Mason. We lived only a few blocks from my childhood home, and life seemed to finally be settling into something steady and full of promise. Then, in the middle of the night, the phone rang. My father's voice trembled on the other, and as he said just 2 words, "She's gone." The funeral that followed was a blur. Family and friends arrived with condolences and casseroles, but I barely registered any of it. I remember standing beside my father during the graveside service, holding his hand tightly. His grip was almost desperate, like he was clinging to the last connection he had left. My mother had been his high school sweetheart, and their 30-year marriage had been the foundation of our family. I couldn't fathom his pain. In the weeks after, I started visiting him more often. At first, it was practical. I wanted to make sure he was eating, getting through the day, but soon it became emotional support. I found myself doing his laundry, cleaning the house, falling into old routines. The house itself hadn't changed, but it no longer felt like home. Without my mother, it was hollow, like a shell echoing with memories. One afternoon, about 3 weeks after the funeral, I brought over groceries. I was putting them away when he came into the kitchen with a serious look on his face. "Jessica," he said in that tone he used when something really mattered, "I need to ask you something." I turned to face him. "What is it, Dad?" He hesitated, then said, "I want you to move back in, just for a little while." I was caught off guard. "Why?" I asked. He lowered his eyes. "This house is too quiet. I haven't been sleeping well. I eat dinner alone. I wake up alone. It's not something I'm used to." I saw the sadness in his eyes, the loneliness. It ran deeper than anything I'd seen at the funeral. I swallowed hard. "Okay," I said softly, "but just for a little while." Mason was understanding when I talked to him about it, though he was hesitant. "If you think it'll help him heal, do it," he said. "Just don't lose yourself in it, Jess." So I packed a small suitcase and moved back into my old bedroom. The posters from my teenage years were still on the walls. The bed was small and the mattress worn, but something about it felt strangely comforting. The first few days were quiet but peaceful. I cooked dinner, we watched television, and my dad even managed to smile now and then. It felt like progress, but soon little things began to shift. One night, he asked me to sit with him in the living room until he fell asleep. "The house feels less empty when you're here," he said. I didn't think much of it, but the next night he asked me to wear one of my mom's old robes. "You look just like her in it," he said with a faraway look in his eyes. That made me uneasy. I tried to brush it off, telling myself that grief can make people behave strangely. Then, one night, I found him in the kitchen holding one of my mom's nightgowns. His back was turned, his shoulders trembling. When he faced me, his eyes were glassy. "You remind me so much of her. Sometimes I pretend she's still here." I didn't know what to do, whether to comfort him or back away. I stayed, but a quiet fear began to settle inside me. I started to wonder if this was still grief or something else entirely. A few nights later, everything became clear. We were having a simple dinner: spaghetti and meatballs. He buttered his bread slowly, then looked up and said, "I've been thinking about moving on." I smiled. "That's good, Dad. Mom wouldn't want you to be alone forever." He nodded. "But I don't want someone new. I want someone who understands me, someone who knows this house, someone who knows me." I tilted my head, confused. He reached across the table and took my hand. "I want you to stay, not just as my daughter, as my partner." I froze at first. I thought I had misheard him, misunderstood, but then I saw the look in his eyes, the way his hand lingered on mine, the pause in his breath. I pulled my hand away. "No, Dad, that's not okay." He immediately tried to walk it back, saying grief had twisted his mind, that he didn't mean it. I nodded, but I didn't believe him. That night, I called Mason and told him everything. "Jess, you need to get out of there," he said. "Tonight?" Still, I didn't leave right away. I needed answers. The next morning, while Dad was out for his walk, I went into his room. I hadn't snooped in years, but something told me I had to. In his desk drawer, I found a stack of journals. They were dated and neatly organized. At first, they were filled with heartbreak, pages upon pages of sorrow over losing my mother. But then the tone shifted. He started writing about me, how much I reminded him of her, how maybe fate had brought me back home for a reason. One entry read, "Jessica is my light in this darkness." Maybe she was meant to come back for more than just support. Maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. My stomach turned. That evening, I sat him down. "I'm leaving," I said, "and you need help, Dad. Real help. This isn't just grief anymore. It's something deeper, and it's not healthy." He didn't argue. He just looked at me with sad, tired eyes and said quietly, "You're right. I've been lost." I returned home to Mason. That first night, I slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, I cried not from fear, but from grief. I had lost both my parents in a way, one to death and the other to something I still didn't have a name for. In the weeks that followed, Dad started therapy. He joined a grief support group. I stayed in touch, but I set clear boundaries. Slowly, he began to change. He planted new flowers in Mom's garden, started cooking again, even made friends through his support group. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. As for me, I learned how deeply grief can distort a person's mind, how it can twist reality, blur lines, and make the unthinkable seem almost reasonable. But I also learned that love, true love, sometimes means walking away, setting boundaries, saying no. I still visit him once a week. We talk about Mom, we share memories, we laugh, but we never talk about that night, and we never will. Some lines, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. Some truths are better left unspoken, but healing, I've learned, is still possible even after everything.